Good evening and welcome again to Tate, the Opera Festival, and to Cockpit Broadcasting. Very happy to be presenting this show tonight, Sophie by Helen Caddick. It's a triumph, really, given that they had 4 days only. It's a work in progress of something Helen has been working on like a Trojan for years, and it's fantastic to see it coming to fruition. You'll see tonight the first half. The second half will come to life if you give big enough donations. We kept the ticket price low for these interactive broadcasts deliberately so that you could see your appreciation after the event. You can make a donation by using the link easydonate.org/Sophie, which hopefully will appear in the chat. We'll come back to that later. Helen will tell you in a little bit more detail of how you can do that. Also, Helen has done a superb job of making this broadcast as accessible as possible. So not only can you watch it on Zoom, you could have dialed in. It's a bit late for you to know that. If you would like captioning or BSL, the BSL is already there. I can see Catherine at the top of my screen. I hope you can too. She will be doing the intro and the outro. The one more thing to say before we start is that we call these interactive broadcasts because you can interact. The interaction comes in the following way. If you'd like to ask a question to the panel after the performance, then you type your question into the chat. It magically appears in front of me on my screen, and I will relay it to the company, and we'll find out the answer to whatever you want to know. But anyway, without further ado, sorry, just letting Catherine catch up there. I'm speaking too fast, I'm sure. We must all remember that. Without further ado, let's watch Sophie by Helen Caddick.
have 4 natures. I have 2 things. I have 5 senses. Sense and no sense, nature is senseless. Make way for nature. Nature is a white eagle.
I live between Swiss arts and crafts and the cosmopolitan avant-garde.
I am part of a flock of poets and painters, submissive and obedient to the shepherd. Submissive
between Swiss arts and crafts and the cosmopolitan avant-garde.
Obedient to the shepherd.
Every form has a reason out of a deep necessity.
The stone, washed by the rain, spun by the rivers, achieves its form. Sophie's face, the softness of her heart, her purity, roses and stars. Have Sophie's face, like the leaves on a tree in a fairy tale, she has descended on my existence.
with joy. I shall wear it with joy. I shall wear it with joy. I shall wear it with joy.
The statue lamps come from the bottom of the sea and shout, "Long live Dada!" to greet the passing ocean liners and the presidents. And 3 rabbits in India ink, Dadaist, outside by bicycle. London, in the Royal Aquarium, asking any pharmacy for the Dadaist of Rasputin, the Tsar and the Pope, who are only 4 to 30.
Make Dada way for Dada, nature. 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 Make Dada way for Dada, nature.
Make Dada, Dada, make Dada, make Dada, Dada way for nature. Make Dada way for nature. Dada.
Make Dada way for Dada, nature.
Make Dada way for Dada, nature. Make Dada way for Dada, nature. Make Dada way for Dada, nature. Make Dada way for Dada, nature.
Joy, I wear it with joy. Joy, I wear it with joy. Joy, I wear it with joy. Joy, I wear it with joy.
The statue lamps come from the bottom of the sea and shout, "Long live Dada!" to greet the passing ocean liners and the presidents. And 3 rabbits in India ink, Dadaist, of striped by bicycle.
Dada, 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 you Dada, he Dadas.
Dada, Dada, the Dada, the Dada, you Dada, he Dada, he Dadas.
Dada, 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 he Dada, you Dada, he Dadas.
Dada, Dada, the Dada, you Dada, he Dada, I Dada, he Dadas. And 3 rabbits in India ink,
my arm.
Dadaist,
Dadaist.
in porcelain of striped bicycle. We will leave for London in the Royal Aquarium, asking any pharmacy for the Dadaist of Rasputin, the Tsar and the Pope, who are valid only for 230. Tresli, vesli, nemogen, leila, flush, gatta, malvash, zack, hitti, zop, zack, hitti, zop, hitti, bertsli, flush, gatta, malvash, fash, hitti, bim, gitti, labi, villa, ticco, bam, tish, gitti, bish, bombalo, bambo, zitti, gitti, labi, tack, hitti, zop, tresli, vesli, nemogen, grulula, viola, bimini, fash, gatta, malvash, hitti, ho! about you. What do you have? I really want to know. What did the doctor say? Did he do a thorough examination? I'm working the whole day. I'm working the whole day. My dear Sophie, I'm very worried about you. What do you have? I really want to know. What did the doctor say? Did he do a thorough examination? I'm working the whole day. I'm working the whole day.
I am furious. What a lot of rubbish! Radical artist! If I were an artist and my name were constantly made to look foolish, with such shouting, squealing, howling, scrawling, and printing, I'd stuff a fistful of gnawed on the throat of the one responsible, and bite his fingers so that he could no more. No one is interested in someone dancing about vainly. All that matters is the work. Making manifestos like that is more than idiotic. Advertising is essential if you want to earn money, but then it should be done in an entirely different way. Dada is something different. You see what you make, and everyone can think whatever they want. You see what you make, and everyone can think whatever they want. They want, can think whatever they want, can think whatever they want, whatever they want, whatever they want.
How are you, my little bird? Are you well? How are you feeling?
The doctor says I must continue to rest. But I am so much better for seeing you.
I have something to show you.
It looks like you've drawn potatoes with grows of bones on chickens fighting. Beetles, chickens fighting beetles, and prematurely excited ducks. My brain blossoms are crying. You must tell the Dadaists that they can't see the brilliance of their ideas.
I will. But who do you spend time with here at the sanatorium? I have heard that you speak to the male patients. You don't think of me.
You are a silly boy. Would I write to you? So often unless I was thinking of you. I am completely filled with you. The biggest thing is to be truthful to one another. You are a glittering sky blue magician.
Then may I ask, will you marry me? Will you marry me?
Your ring gives me joy. Your ring gives me joy. I really love you. I have never met a person with whom I wanted to live with forever, and have children.
No, I can't. This is something I cannot entertain. We are artists. How can we provide for a child? We must focus on our work. We are artists.
But try to imagine.
Can't have children.
Every flower will bloom again.
We are artists.
Bloom again.
We are artists, please. Consider how we provide for a child.
Will be another.
We need to focus on our work.
To wish for a child.
Sophie, we can live for money.
I can't be blamed for this. It's instinctual. This is a hard thing.
It will be difficult
ask of me.
to
Hard thing you
raise a
ask.
child.
If we get married,
continue our
I will
work.
have to completely suppress the thought of ever having a baby. This will be so difficult for me.
Perhaps in time, this feeling will go away.
But we are like animals and plants. Naturally, by instinct, we want to reproduce. It's instinctual. It's instinctual. It's instinctual. It's
This
impossible for
feeling
me
will
to
go
talk about
away.
this in a way you never understand.
Away.
Cannot go against what we are like.
This feeling will go away in time. This feeling will go away.
It's instinctual. How can I make you understand? How can I make you know how I wait for your letters. This is the third letter I've written since yours. Write to me, because you haven't written, I won't let you know about my dreams. When we're together again, I hope you'll have enough time for me, away from your friends, and you'll be able to give me your undivided attention. Without all those others around, I want to be alone with you. I want you to be with me, alone with you. It's necessary to see man as plants and nature. Perhaps then I can understand them better and become I will learn how to understand the people. I will learn how to handle human beings. The biggest thing is to be truthful to one another and be truthful. I want you to be with me. Should not be eradicated. Is one of humankind's deep-rooted primordial urges. Is one of humankind's deep-rooted primordial urges. The intrinsic decorative urge should not be eradicated. King of the Asian kingdom of Sed and Depot, is searching for a wife with the aid of a magical statue. He has already interviewed and rejected 2,748 applicants before
meeting Angela. Before meeting Angela, the beautiful daughter of his second minister, she alone loves him for himself, not his crown. She alone loves him for himself. Unfortunately, the evil Tartaglia, Prime Minister, wants Angela for himself, is determined that the king shall marry his own daughter Clarissa. He is determined that the king shall marry his own daughter. Evil ensues, but love triumphs eternal. Evil ensues, but love triumphs eternal. the star settles on my bed, on the edge of my bed. It's old and full of cracks, old and full of cracks. Grey spiders, grey spiders, grey spiders, fly away towards the black veiled horizon. They're going off as if to the burial of a fairy. They're going off as if to the burial of a fairy. The void sighs. My poor dreams have lost their wings. My poor dreams have lost their flames. They lock elbows on the coffin of my heart and dream of grey crumbs. The day reappears, but I'm all worn out. The sky descends and covers me. I open my eyes. Forever, forever, forever.
At the end, how thrilling it was to be in the theatre. Yeah, it's a really beautiful piece. Now, before we go into the chat, let's just hear from Helen what will happen when people shower you with well-deserved cash at easydonate.org/Sophie.
Well, you saw the incredible work there that the singers and dancers and musicians, they put together that all in the space of a few days, very little time. And you heard the first 9 extracts. The 13th one, and actually the last one that you heard sung beautifully by me, was the very, very last one of the entire opera. So there are still there's still a huge amount of the opera to explore, and we just didn't have time. So what I'm really hoping is that we might be able to get donations together to cover the costs for one day of further exploration with the ensemble, with Chris, our brilliant conductor, and both our wonderful singers, to explore the rest of the work as our next step. And for that, we are looking to raise £3,300 for that one day. And then from that, we can develop it further.
Well, I think if everybody in this Zoom gives you a decent chunk, then you'll be there, actually. Anyway, let's get on with our panel discussion, which has very little time for a huge number of questions. Would the rest of you like to turn your cameras on? That'd be very helpful, and we'll welcome in everybody else. We have... Yeah, everybody's arriving. I think what I might start by doing is reminding the audience we welcome questions from you. Just type them in the chat, and I'll kind of condense your questions, Helen, into one question to pass around the group, just so we get everyone speaking. Let's start with you, and my question to all of you is, or to each of you, is just tell us a little bit about how your own discipline fed into the story, what it was like to choreograph when Sophie was a dancer, how it was to be singing this real life story, or what it was like to compose. Helen, let's start with you and choose the person after you.
Well, for me, it's been an incredible journey of discovery, because it started as a direct result of a work that I wrote before, inspired by Jean Arp. And in that work, I had the fantastic Cabaret Voltaire dancing as a silent Sophie Taeuber-Arp. But it was only in completing that work that I realised I'd been looking at Sophie through Jean Arp's eyes as a dreamlike character, and hadn't really got to know Sophie as an artist and a woman in her own right. At that time, coincidentally, I discovered that letters had been released by her family, and they became the driving force behind me wanting to bring Sophie's story to life. And I've looked at all the material from a female point of view. And because she was very much an artist, a dancer, a multidisciplinary artist in so many forms, it was very important for me to have dance in the project again. So I got Pamela on board to choreograph. So I'll hand over to Pamela to tell you a bit more about the choreography.
Thanks, Helen. I've actually brought a piece of the costume from Amphora, which I haven't put on since our last performance, so I'm going to do that as I talk. Check this out. This is made by amazing
Happy Memories. Amphora, we'll just tell everybody, was Helen's kind of first tab. That was the Jean Arp opera that revealed Sophie wanting to come out. Anyway, carry on, Camilla.
So yes, it was absolutely a joy and a pleasure to know Jean Arp first through Helen's work, and she it's just slightly distracting, so I'm going to have to take it off while I'm talking. I'm gonna start whirling with it. But yes, to know Jean first, and then to come through Sophie's husband to her through this work, and Helen's incredible scholastic research over the years has just uncovered her relationship with Jean, and also her relationship and her building of her many different facets of her artistry. And some of the earlier facets of that was in dancing, and she started off with Rudolf Laban himself, learning in Zurich. So as a choreographer, it was we're very limited with the amount that we can see of artists moving in those days, but we did not have any videos, obviously, of Sophie dancing, but we knew a little bit about Laban and the way that he was doing movement analysis at the time. And so we were always trying to see how we could get back to the source of how she might have expressed herself. There are descriptions of her from Hugo Ball, another Dadaist, as being frenetic dancing, sharp, but there's also other descriptions of her being very bird-like and kind of fragile and graceful in the way that she trained with Laban. So was trying to put those elements into the choreography, but also to be true to my own training as a classical Indian dancer and a contemporary artist, and also use the amazing talents of Aaron Baksh and Yanail Tiran, who you saw dancing in the opera. So that's
Brilliant. I might make your choice for you because that very naturally leads on to Beth, who was Sophie and who was not only singing but dancing. So, how are your disciplines helping you tell the story?
I think what was so amazing about the libretto of this opera is that almost all of the words that were in the libretto were from Sophie herself. Helen translated all these letters and spent years going through Sophie's words, which meant that when it came to me to then perform her words, it was really kind of easy and really human and really she's just so full of like absolute humanity and complex normal human emotions. So it wasn't hard to jump into her as a character because you kind of felt that she was already there. And we kind of had this running joke throughout the R&D process that I think on the first day we made a circle just to talk through some stuff, and there was always an extra chair. And we had this running joke that Sophie was with us because this random extra chair always just coincidentally was there. And I know that sounds a bit hippie and a bit silly, but it really did feel like it was just, she's just a brilliant human person. And that's all thanks to Helen's sort of diligence in finding her words. In terms of singing her and dancing her, yeah, I mean, I just had the best team, Lucy and Kamala and Chris. It was all about just really finding the humanity in Sophie and being really true to who Sophie was as a person. That meant it was just really lovely in that respect.
I think it's rather marvellous, Beth, that your response is what was it like to be Sophie rather than what was it like to sing or dance Sophie. It's really interesting that, and more power to you. Immediately it begs the question, Neil, what was it like to be Jean? Is he quite such a nice person, or how was it to be him? Put it that way.
Yeah, very good question, Bill. Very good question. Endless. I mean, discovering Dadaism is one thing. It's so absurd, and that was really fun. And then you realise that this guy, Jean Arp, took this absurd thing really seriously. Mm-hmm. So you can't play it in a silly way. You have to play it very seriously. And so seriously that he stopped their relationship and, their family growing because he believed in what they were doing so much. And with a 21st century lens, that's really hard to say those words and feel, yeah, this is okay. That's really hard. But after just accepting that I'm in a different era, you start to find these little nuances. And I think the interesting place for Jean is in this really grey area of a real genius, a very talented man, somebody that loves her so much, but inadvertently causes her a huge amount of distress. And that's where I got to in the 4 days. Another 4 days, and I'll probably reverse, but who knows?
No, that's a really interesting answer. Well, Lucy, you were one of the people who had to assemble this great, complex pile of disciplines. Well, how was it for you?
It was thrilling. I suppose the challenges were that there is a very human story here about Sophie and Jean, and then there's a kind of expression of Sophie's innovative art practice, which kind of sits in many different forms. So there are kind of two modes of communication within the opera. So finding that was a challenge, but also a kind of real opportunity. And yeah, it was just wonderful to have such a collaborative process and work with such brilliant artists to make this thing happen and to test out our ideas about it. I think it's really interesting what Neil was saying about the 20th, our lens, our contemporary lens, looking at some of the text felt quite difficult. And what emerged to us was that Jean felt very innovative in his artistic practice, but that his relationship was very much based in that era. And so what I was interested in was kind of giving voice to Sophie. She didn't seem to be able to articulate herself that much in her time, but her letters definitely do express the emotional conflict that she found herself in, and the challenges that she was fighting against. So I suppose we were trying to find a way to give voice to that, express that, so kind of giving Sophie a voice from beyond the grave to say some of the things that she wanted to. And that's what's wonderful about what Helen's done, to kind of pull all of that text from very personal, private letters. So it's just been a privilege to work on and to get to know Sophie and Jean.
Yeah, I think a great achievement of this project is, you know, Helen, we know you've been beavering away at this for 5 years, and at the same time you've made this in 4 days, and so much has gone into it. And what's marvellous is musically, Helen, you can so clearly see the wood for the trees, that the end product has such a purity and joy and love of its subject in the music. But last but not least, what was that like to pull together as musical director?
Hi. So I'm slightly up against it with the Wi-Fi. I got stuck at work, and it's of course useless Wi-Fi here. But it was wonderful, and I've said before, but you know, you get a new score, and there's a kind of anticipation and the thrill of getting something totally, you know, I say new, but of course Helen's been working on it for 4 years. But and reading through it and just immediately seeing that it's beautifully paced, it's brilliantly scored, you know, with relatively small forces, and just full of character. Every movement has a different kind of feeling and emotional weight to it, and then just finding more and more details as you get to know it better and better. Then you get to the workshop days, and I think that's where it really, for me, it really told. You know, I appreciated the piece as a kind of viewer, but as we started talking about it and, you know, diving deeper and deeper into movements, you start to really even more appreciate the kind of craft that's gone into it, because you question what is this rest doing here in the middle of will you marry me, for example. There's a slight, you know, and everything that you question has a reason behind it. There's a hesitancy, or there's a emotional drive, or, you know, it could be anything, whether that's why is the cello playing this rhythm, or why is the singer singing this note, why is it going up so high or so low. And so I think all of that comes from what Beth was saying earlier, is it's born of Helen's deep knowledge about the subject and total immersion in this person that she's writing about, or these people, but I mean mainly Sophie, and just really getting to know her, and then using her talent to kind of depict that whole emotional and, you know, kind of biographical world completely through the music and through the singers, and, you know, through all the ideas that are in the piece. So it's been it's been a really short time. You know, we could spend weeks and weeks on it and keep diving, and we'd find more and more.
We could spend weeks and weeks discussing it as well, but infuriatingly, we've got about 30 seconds left. I think the thing everybody would really love to know is, what would you, Helen, like to see as the culmination of it all?
I think for the journey not to end. I mean, I see this opera as the conversation between Sophie and Jean continuing, because after she died prematurely, he felt that he still met the real Sophie in his dreams, and he lived with the dream Sophie in reality. And that's what I want this opera to continue the conversation. And I just want to continue this journey. I want everybody to know about Sophie Taeuber-Arp. I want to have the opportunity to realise this opera with set design, costumes, the whole shebang, and to bring it to the stage for everyone to see.
That's the most wonderful idea, that it can carry on forever. I love that. And look forward to many iterations in that case. Amazingly, our time is up. So I'm glad I whizzed round to you in that way. We should say good night and thank you very much, and well done.